Hey everybody, this is Darren Sabedra again with the Bay Area News Group Mercury News East Bay Times here with Mike Lefkow, Joseph Dycus. Guys, we're heading into week 14, which is always one of the great weeks on the schedule. It's championship week across the sections. We've got Central Coast Section Championships. We've got North Coast Section Championships. We have an Oakland Section Championship, which I was looking at Cal Preps. It doesn't look like it's going to be much of a game.
39 points according to Cal Preps, which might be generous.
For McClymonds over
Castlemont.
Could have sworn I read somewhere that Oakland Tech had a great team. What happened?
They had a great team, and that team just didn't show up against Castlemont.
Was it really a great team, Lefty?
Well, I beg to differ. I don't think it was a great team. I think, they're improved, and Verdell Larkins has done a nice job there, but no, most leagues, they would probably be average.
Well, one team that is great, and I don't think there's any doubt about it, is Serra. The Padres, 57-7 over Palma, and then hung another 57 on Saturday against a really good Salinas team that beat Sacred Heart Prep the previous week. And Sacred Heart Prep, we all know about their defense. This is a Salinas team that went on the road and beat Clayton Valley. I believe that was a season opener. But they gave up 50 points to Serra in the first half. It was a running clock for the entire second half. Mike Lefkow, you've been around a long time. You've seen some great De La Salle teams. Is this Serra team, if it wins this week, we all know what's going to happen in 2 weeks when they have to go, they'd have to pull the stunner of all stunners. They'd have to pull a Saudi Arabia over Argentina.
Well, they probably would have to, yeah.
Yes. So, but anyhow, back in the old days of playoffs, we had no state playoffs. So a lot of those De La Salle teams in the 90s and early 2000s didn't get to go beyond their section. So if Serra were to win, as they're expected to do on Friday night against Mitty, where's the Serra team going to rank among great Bay Area teams?
Oh, I think right now it ranks up there with some of those great De La Salle teams of the 80s and the 90s. Like you say, De La Salle, there were no state championships for many of the years that De La Salle was a powerhouse team, but I still think De La Salle would have been they were the premier program in the country probably for a number of years. I don't know that Serra is quite on that level yet, but Serra, in terms of Northern California, in my mind, is the number one team in Northern California, no argument. And they're right there with some of those great De La Salle teams.
I think what's great about the Serra season is the schedule that Patrick Walsh put together. So there's no debate. They had to go on the road. They beat Folsom. They had to go on the road. They beat De La Salle. They beat Central Catholic at home in non-league. And then they ran the table in the West Catholic Athletic League. So very, very impressive. So I've followed CCS football for 3 decades. This is going to go down as one of the great CCS teams of all time. And now in the championship game, they're going to be going up against a team that has put together one of the great stories in CCS history, going from 1 win to the top division in CCS and making it to the championship game. Joseph, obviously you haven't followed Mitty until this season, but I mean, as somebody who follows sports, to go from 1 win in 1 season to basically the Super Bowl of your section in the next season, it just doesn't happen.
Yeah, I yesterday on our meeting, I asked you, did they get a bunch of transfers? Did a bunch of players come in from out of the state or maybe out of the area? And you were like, no, this is the same guys who took their lumps for, was it 2 years? And now they're on the door of winning a championship. That doesn't happen.
In the 2 seasons in 2021, they won 1 game. They didn't win a game in the spring, pandemic shortened season. Then they went. They had 1 win. It was a 1-point win over Mountain View. Lefty, I mean, what do you think of this Mitty story? And I mean, is there any, obviously we're a prisoner of the moment, but is there any comparison that you can think of that a team would go from one win to the top division of their section and make it to the final?
Yeah, in football, I really can't. One team I kind of compare it to was a number of years ago, the Atlanta Braves. They had been down for a long time, and then they got all those good pitchers, John Smoltz, Tom Glavine, Greg Maddux, and they went from being a really bad team to a pretty good team the next year. So it does happen. I think the thing I would look at is try to find out what the coaching staff did. I mean, a lot of those players matured, a lot of them are seniors, but I mean, the thing is did they bring in another new coach? Did they bring in a couple new assistants? Did Sullivan change his playbook? Why? I mean, there's got to be some answers.
I think having talked to them after the game that I covered and seeing some of the quotes throughout the season, because we have covered a number of Mitty games, I think it just all came together. I mean, this is a senior class that went to work after last season, didn't want a repeat of what had happened. And, it's the same Wills Towers, Danny Scudero, all of those guys just put it together. And, they went undefeated in non-league. Their first loss was Serra on the road. They lost, I believe it was 35-7. I was at that game. They lost to St. Francis later on in the season. They lost to St. Ignatius, but Wills was hurt in that game. Didn't play in that game. I don't believe he played in that game. And then they came back and beat St. Francis. So a terrific story by Mitty. But if we're thinking of stories going into this weekend, I think the best storyline of this weekend isn't the Serra Mitty game. It's the Clayton Valley-Pittsburg game.
Mm-hmm.
Lefty, Christian Aguilar, you were there last season, and he lit up Clayton Valley. Without him, they maybe don't win Vic Galley's only North Coast Section championship. I remember talking to you after that game, and you were like, man, Aguilar was really good. Now he quarterbacks at Clayton Valley, and he's going to be going up against former team. What do you think is going through his mind this week?
I don't know. He strikes me as being pretty confident.
Yeah.
I think he feels like he can go out and beat him. And I mean, for him, didn't he start at Freedom High School? Then he transferred to Pittsburgh, and now he's at Clayton Valley. I think for him, it's almost like it's a business, and he's playing for Clayton Valley now. And sure, he'll have some thoughts and emotions, but he knows he's got to go out and try to beat his old team.
Right. Joseph, you've covered a number of Pittsburgh games this season. What do you think is going through Jaden Rashada's mind as he goes up against his backup from last season in a game that, is very important for Rashada? I mean,
right.
If he wants to, this is his last chance to win an NCS championship before moving on to Florida.
Yes.
What do you think is going through Jaden's mind this week as he gets ready to play Clayton Valley?
I wonder if he's not so much thinking about Aguilar and the other quarterback, but it sounds like last week's game was extremely physical between De La Salle and Pittsburgh. I wonder if he's thinking, oh, Clayton Valley's a very talented team, but I don't think they hit as hard as De La Salle is. So I wonder if he's thinking more about just the fact that maybe the defense he's going to be playing won't be as hard hitting as
I'm guessing not, because Clayton is a pretty hard-hitting team, isn't it? I mean, isn't that?
It is. It is a very hard.
I don't think that's. I think he's thinking, I got to win this game.
Yeah.
I don't think he's thinking about. He knows Clayton can hit. They got hitters on that team.
Yeah.
I think what he's thinking is, it's put up or shut up time. Got to win this game. Got to go on. Got to continue Vic Galley's career for at least one more game, the retiring Pittsburgh coach. Is that what you think he's thinking, Lefty, or what do you think he's thinking?
Yeah, I'm not sure what he's thinking. I think this game, even though Vic Galley is retiring, I think this game means more to Christian Aguilar than it does to Jaden Rashada, because Aguilar, what's he going to do after his senior season's over? He doesn't have he doesn't have an offer from Florida. I mean, he probably as a kid goes on to JC or a smaller college team. He doesn't have quite the adulation that the 5 stars that Jaden Rashada has. So I think for Christian Aguilar, this game means a heck of a lot, whether it's for Clayton or Pittsburgh or whomever. He wants to go out on top just to show that he can beat the big boys. And Pittsburgh is one of those elite big boy teams. So's Clayton.
Yeah.
But Pittsburgh has all those recruits.
I'll let you guys answer this briefly. Who do you think's feeling more pressure this week? Aguilar, Rashada, or Vic Galley?
Vic Galley.
You go first.
I think Vic Galley.
Why?
Because like Lefty said, Jaden Rashada is going off to Florida right after this year. Aguilar, maybe he'll go on and continue to play at a JUCO or a D2 or D3 school. Galley, this is it, right, for his coaching career. So this could be his last game ever.
Lefty, who do you think?
I agree. I think Galley number 1, Aguilar number 2, and Rashada number 3. I mean, Rashada, he's got that scholarship in his pocket.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I agree with you. This is a very, very big game for Vic Galley, even though he won last year. This is a chance for him to have another trophy game next week for the NorCal championship and get that and get back to a state championship game and maybe go out with a storybook finish. And he doesn't want it to end at Heritage High on Friday night against Tim Murphy and Clayton Valley. So before we move on to the picks, we have a couple of huge games, but the one that I'm really interested in is going to unfold at Dublin High on Friday night when Luke Baker and San Ramon Valley take on Dashiell Weaver and the Campolindo Cougars in a must-see matchup. I mean, these guys have been terrific all season, and now they're going to be meeting in the section championship. Joseph, you covered Campolindo last week. I mean,
crazy game.
Yeah, we knew Rancho Cotati, Campo, and San Ramon. One of those 3 were going to win this division.
Yep.
And it took everything Campo had to survive last week. Do they have anything left in the tank for San Ramon Valley?
I think they do. I don't know if it's going to be. I mean, last week neither team punted the ball. Neither team had a turnover, or at least neither team lost possession on a play. It was 12 drives, 12 touchdowns. And I don't know if Campo can quite rely on having that level of perfection, at least offensively. But I think I was talking to a Campo player after the game. They all expect it to be another high scoring shootout kind of game. So whoever wins this game is going to probably need to score over 40 points.
Wow. Mike Lefkow, last year, neither team reached 20 points in this game. I think it was 17-14 Campo with the win. Do you think this is going to, now both quarterbacks are at the top of their games. What do you think? Is it going to be a high scoring game in the 30s, low 40s, or are we going to see a game like last year?
No, I agree with Joseph. I think it'll be a higher scoring game. I'm not sure it'll take 40 points to win, but I think it'll be definitely in the 30s. I think Campolindo will come in with a full tank of gas, as will San Ramon. They're 2 well-coached teams. They're 2 excellent quarterbacks. And Luke Baker's only a junior, I think. So he's got another year left. I mean, he's not as good as he's going to get. And no, I think you're right. This might be the best of the section championships. I mean, 2 superbly coached teams.
We're going to move on to our picks in just a second. I just wanted to give you guys an opportunity. Is there anything we did not touch on that you guys want to address real quickly before we move on to our championship picks? You guys good?
Let's get on with the picks.
You guys are good?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm just sick about Argentina losing to Saudi Arabia, but
yeah, that that was a stunner when I woke up
Especially
this
since I
morning
lived
and looked at
there
my
when
phone
I
and
was
I
in high school. I mean,
yeah, I saw Argentina trending and I'm like, uh-oh. And I clicked, could not believe it. 2-1
yeah,
final.
I mean,
Well,
I better check in on my friend down there and make sure he's okay.
Mike Lefkow's friend down in Argentina. Let's see, last week, Mike Lefkow. I don't think you did very well last week.
No, I took a couple chances. It didn't pan out.
Yeah, you went 7-8 for the week. Joseph and I went 10-5. My lead over you is now 7 games, Mike Lefkow, and I still lead Joseph by 10 games. And we're running out of time.
I know we are running out of time.
We are running out of time.
Gotta be perfect on these picks.
Yes. All right. We're going to start off in the Central Coast section. This game is Saturday night at 7 p.m. according to the schedule. Got the Bellarmine Bells, 6-6, against the St. Ignatius Wildcats, 6-6. This is a rematch of the Open Division Championship game a decade ago, 2012, that Bellarmine lost in overtime to SI 13-10. SI, let's see here. They lost to Bellarmine this season. So I'm going to let you go first, Joseph. Who are you taking between Bellarmine and St. Ignatius?
I'm back to picking Bellarmine. They seem to have caught fire here recently, and I think they're gonna continue that good run of form and win CCS Division II.
And it's at San Jose City, which is Bellarmine's home field.
Yep.
But you know what? The game 10 years ago was also at San Jose City, and Bellarmine lost in overtime. Mike Lefkow, who you got?
What I want to know is 10 years ago, were the two teams 4-6 going into the playoffs?
They were not 4-6. They were very good NorCal teams. That was during Bellarmine's heyday. And they were very good back then. And I think I actually covered that game. I sat next to Mitch Stevens in the press box there at San Jose City that night. So
I think I'll go with Bell.
You're going to go with Bell. I'm going to go with Bell too. And Cal Prep says Bellarmine 20-17. Next game on the list, it's a rematch of a semifinal game played last year in Division II, in which Menlo School with then quarterback Sergio Beltran, they beat Hollister, which I believe was known as San Benito last year. They've changed back to Hollister, which has been for many, many years. The people down there wanted the team to be called Hollister, but it was, I think the district or whomever continued to call it San Benito. Well, now they're Hollister again, even though in the CCS record book, the page that I went through, I had to search San Benito, not Hollister, for all of the times they've made a championship game, which according to my count is 13. They're 7-6 in CCS finals, while Menlo is 0-5 in CCS finals. Menlo's the higher seed, but we'll have to be traveling down to Salinas Rabobank Stadium on Saturday night. Mike Lefkow, you talked to the Menlo coach. He's not too thrilled about having to make that trip, right?
No, he felt as the higher seed that the game would be up here, but in the South Bay somewhere. But yeah, I don't know what CCS was thinking in putting the game in Salinas,
which is right
next. It's a nice place to play it. I guess they have good tri-tip sandwiches.
Well, this is actually not at Salinas High. This is at Rabobank Stadium, the home of the Palma Chieftains.
Oh, okay.
So, and it's right next door to Hollister. My guess is Hollister is going to bring a big crowd. It'll be an electric atmosphere. But you know what? Menlo went to Hollister last year and won that game, that semifinal game, before losing to Wilcox in the CCS Division II final. I picked Hollister to win this division. I'm taking Hollister to win Saturday, obviously. So, Mike Lefkow, who you got?
I'm going to go with Menlo. I went back and forth on this game, but I'm going to go with Menlo.
Joseph?
I'm going with Hollister because, like you said, it's basically a home game for Hollister.
Right. Next game on the list. This was a tough one to pick, but I'm pretty sure I picked Branham to win this division, and I'm pretty sure Joseph picked Santa Teresa.
Yeah.
We got Santa Teresa, Branham, 1 o'clock, according to the schedule, at San Jose City College for the CCS Division 4 title. Whoever hoists the trophy will be the first time that their school has ever hoisted the a football trophy in the CCS as a champion. Santa Teresa lost in 1987 to Live Oak. Branham, in its only appearance in the CCS final, lost to Milpitas in 2019. Man, Will Augenstein. He just keeps getting better and better, doesn't he?
He does.
Mike Lefkow, that 6 touchdown performance, that was pretty impressive last week against Mountain View, right? Given that they were down by 2 touchdowns at halftime and scored.
I think the lead changed hands like 7 times in that game, though.
Didn't they score over 50 points in the second?
They only had 54 points in the second half.
Yeah, 54 points in the second half.
As much as I like Steve Pappen, I picked Branham to win this division. Steve Pappen's not going to be on the field, but Will Augenstein is going to be on the field, so I'm taking the Bruins of Branham to bring home a CCS title. Joseph, I think I know who you're picking, given that.
Yeah, you said it was a difficult choice for you. For me, it was not a difficult choice because I said last week, I made a lot of really bad predictions on this show over the course of 14 weeks. But I did say that Santa Teresa would hold Sequoia, who had scored 51 the week before, to 1/3, which is 17. Well, they held in the 18, so I'll take that as a win for me.
Yes.
And I think Santa Teresa is going to just keep it going. I definitely don't think that Branham's going to score 68 again.
No.
They'll probably score more than 18, but I think Santa Teresa finds a way to win, and they win a CCS championship.
Cal Preps is predicting Santa Teresa to win 28-27. I forgot to mention that Cal Preps has Hollister winning over Menlo 27-21. Lefty, who you got?
I'm going to go with Santa Teresa.
So 3 for Santa Teresa. Computer, Lefkow, Joseph. I'm the only one with Branham. So I'll probably get a text from Coach Pappen to say, yeah, nice pick. Friday night, Sequoia High. It'll be Monterey, 8-4 against Palo Alto, 6-6. Palo Alto was once the top team in CCS as recently as I think a decade or so ago when they had Devontae Adams, Christoph Bono. Before that, they had a guy named Jock Peterson, who I think we know about. They're going to be playing in the CCS final against Monterey, which has been sizzling in Division 5. I picked Palo Alto to win this division. I got to take them here. I'm not sure they're going to do it because I think this Monterey team is pretty good. But I got Palo Alto winning. Lefty, who you got?
Yeah, I'm going with Palo Alto. I mean, they had a 3-6 regular season, 4-6 when you count the forfeit against Jefferson. But they should have been higher than where they are. I mean, they play a little higher level of football. So I'll go with Pally.
Joseph?
I'll go with Palo Alto as well.
All right. And the computer says Palo Alto 31-26. That's the Cal Preps computer. Next pick, NCS Division 3. This is a game that you're going to be at, Mike Lefkow. It's at Benicia High on Friday night. Windsor, 9-2 versus El Cerrito, 12-0. These teams played last year in the playoffs, right, Lefty? Was it a final?
That was in the semifinals. Windsor led 33-6, and El Cerrito scored the last 26 points. Fell short on a 2-point conversion. It's a heck of a comeback by the Gauchos.
That is a heck of a comeback by the Gauchos. I keep saying it all along. I saw the Gauchos in that scrimmage and was very impressed, and they have done nothing to change my mind. They're 12-0. I've got them winning the NCS Division 3 championship. Lefty, you got El Cerrito too?
Yeah, I'm going to go with El Cerrito. I mean, Windsor is playing very well. They won 7 or 8 games in a row, and they beat Rancho Cotati. But I think this is El Cerrito's year. That defense is awfully good.
Joseph?
I picked El Cerrito before. before we started all this. So the playoffs. So yeah, I'm going with El Cerrito.
NCS D5, Miramone 8-4 against San Marin 10-2. This game's going to be at Rancho Catate High. This is on Friday night too, right, guys?
Mhm.
You have the schedule in front of you? Friday night game. Joseph, I'll let you go first.
Well, I've gone with Miramone all season. I think I picked them to win this division, but I'm not feeling super confident about it because San Marin is a very, very good team that were number one for a reason.
Mike Lefkow, who you got?
I'm going to pick San Ramon,
San Marin,
excuse me, whose quarterbacks are coached by former Washington State coach Nick Rolovich. It's going to be UCLA bound Luke Duncan against former Washington State coach Nick Rolovich.
There you go. I'm going to take San Marin too. That's just a very good team. It's going to be up in their neck of the woods. It's going to be a tough game for Miramone, which I went through the NCS record books. Miramone is a 9-time NCS champion. Did you know that, Mike Lefkow?
Sure. Miramone at one time was coached by Akalani. Now Akalani's coach Floyd Burnstead. And they had some terrific teams and some terrific quarterbacks. Led by Ken Dorsey.
Oh, yeah. Ken Dorsey, who now is the Buffalo Bills offensive coordinator.
Right.
Former Heisman Trophy winner, correct?
Right. No, Dorsey.
No, national champion. Cerrito was yes. Right. Dorsey won a national title with Miami.
But those Miramone teams that were coached by Floyd Burnstead, they were really good, just like Akalani's is now. Miramone has a pretty good football history. They were also coached by Van Boschetti, who's another great coach.
The funny thing is, in 1983, they won 2 NCS titles that year. They won the 2A South and the 2A title. So that is factored into their 9 NCS championships. But I don't think they're going to get a 10th on Friday. I think San Marin's going to win that game. NCS D6, Pinole Valley, team that Joseph covered, upset the number 1 seed, St. Mary's of Berkeley. The undefeated Panthers went down last week against Pinole Valley 20-7. Going to be going up against Justin Siena Friday night at Memorial Stadium in Napa. I think defense travels, so I'm taking Pinole Valley to win this game. Joseph, who you got?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen Justin Siena play, but Pinole Valley, they have the formula to win a game, which is their games are pretty short. They just run the ball between the tackles and they play good defense. So
it's a nice formula to have.
Yeah, Pinole Valley wins in a low-scoring 17-13 kind of game.
Cal Preps predicts Pinole Valley 17-14. There you go. Lefkow, who you got?
I'm going to go with Pinole Valley as well. Both these schools have rich football histories, by the way. So it's a good matchup. They're not as strong as they once were, but I think Pinole could be coming back a little bit.
I've got Pinole winning too. I forgot to mention Cal Preps has San Marin beating Miramone 34-21 and El Cerrito beating Windsor 28-21, as well as Palo Alto taking down Monterey 31-26. This next game on the list, it's the Oakland Athletic League, Oakland section, whatever they call it, the Silver Bowl. That's Friday night at Fremont High in Oakland, between McClymonds 10-1 going up against Castlemont 6-5, team that McClymonds handled fairly convincingly during the regular season. They're going to play again. Mac, obviously. Lefkow, you got Mac?
Oh, yeah. Mac all the way.
Joseph, Mac?
Yeah, I think I did some research. I think Mac, counting the playoffs, has beaten 83 consecutive OAL opponents, about to be 84 consecutive OAL opponents after this.
That's pretty impressive. Cal Prep says 52-13. Last page of picks. We got 4 more to go. We're going to go with the Campo-San Ramon game that we discussed earlier. It'll be a big game at Dublin High on Friday night for the NCS Division II championship. These teams met in the semifinals last year. Campo won by a field goal. I think it was 17-14. Campo then went on to beat Foothill in the championship game. Foothill was the Cinderella story last year. Remember Mike Lefkow? They went on the road, and I believe they beat Rancho Cotati in the semifinals to get to
I think they did. Yeah.
So on Friday night, they're going to be going. It's Campo-San Ramon. Tough pick for me, but I ended up going with Campo to finish off a 13-0 year before they move on to the regionals. Joseph, who you got?
I picked San Ramon Valley to win the section. I have to stick with them, but I do not feel good about that pick. It's like I said before, it's a toss-up game. So I'll go with San Ramon Valley, and if Campo wins, I'm not going to be surprised.
Mike Lefkow.
I'm going to go with San Ramon also. I mean, they have not – Campo's had a little tougher road to go through in this playoff, but San Ramon's outscored their two playoff opponents 98-33. I think they're on a roll right now, and Luke Baker is a terrific quarterback.
This is a very good San Ramon team. I went back and forth on this. I ended up going Campo, but I easily could have gone San Ramon too. This is a 50-50 game, but I got Campo. The computer, CalPreps has San Ramon winning 34-28. Next one on the list, Friday night. I'll be there. San Jose City College, Archbishop Mitty, as we said, one of the all-time great stories in the CCS, going up against Mitty-Serra, 12-0, one of the great teams in the CCS, in CCS history. I think Serra continues to roll. I take Serra to win this game. The CalPreps computer picks Serra to win this game, 41-17. Joseph, who you got?
I really wanted to make another bad prediction and say that Mitty was going to pull off the upset of all miracle upsets, but I'm going to go with Serra.
Mike Lefkow?
I'm going to go with Serra. They've outscored their last four opponents, 178-42. They're just playing great football right now, Serra.
They are playing terrific.
they peaked at the right time.
Darren, do you think that Serra running clocks Mitty, or do you think Mitty keeps it somewhat close?
I would like to think they don't, but I mean, I hope it's not a running clock. I can't remember the last time in a CCS. Maybe it's happened, and maybe it's happened recently, and I just completely forgot. But I can't remember at the highest level of CCS. I mean, last year's game against St. Francis and Serra went down to the last seconds, and that's how they normally are in the CCS championship. But man, the Serra team is pulled away from the pack. We've seen it all season.
Mm-hmm.
Why would we think it's going to be any different Friday? It would be cool if it was. It would be it would add another layer to Mitty's great story. I don't think anything can happen on Friday that would take away from what Mitty has done this season. I think it's been an unbelievable turnaround. But the Serra team, man, the Serra team has been working because they know what's coming up next. And, while they're going to be a significant underdog, if they win and move on in 2 weeks for the state championship, I can't see them getting beat here in the CCS. Mike Lefkow, you agree, or what do you think? I mean, is this Serra team just unbeatable in the CCS? I mean, obviously, if they went out and played De La Salle and Folsom again, I mean, those were very tight games early in the season. Is there anything that you've seen that can lead you to believe that a team, well, it would have to be Mitty now, can even keep it close or upset Serra?
Yeah, I mean, I think a team can upset Serra, sure. I mean, they're still in the same section. They're still in the same league. And Mitty's got a very good football team this year. If everything went right, sure, Mitty could pull the upset. I mean, upsets happen all the time. So I'm not saying that there's no chance. I think Mitty could beat them, but it's going to take probably the best effort they've had maybe in many years. I think the Serra team is the best team in Northern California, and I think Serra wins the game. But if Mitty wins, I could see that happening.
Serra is 7-0 in CCS championship games, 6-0 under Coach Walsh. And of those 6 wins for Coach Walsh in CCS championship games, 2 have come at the expense of Mitty. So just throwing that out there. We'll see what happens. Let's move on to the NCS Division I final. That's going to be at Heritage High School in Brentwood on Friday night, where Clayton Valley and Christian Aguilar, the Pittsburgh transfer at quarterback, taking on Jaden Rashada and the Pittsburgh Pirates, which could be or could not be Vic Galley's last game as the Pirates head coach. Mike Lefkow, I'm going to let you go first in this big one. Who you got?
I'm going to go with Pittsburgh. I think the Pirates this year have played pretty well in big games. And that leads me to believe that they lost to De La Salle last week, but it was only by a touchdown. Clayton Valley got running clock by De La Salle.
Good point.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. So, I think that if you look at how Pittsburgh has played, we were kind of skeptical when they played that Liberty High team from Nevada in the Honor Bowl, and then Pittsburgh beat them pretty easily.
And they only lost to Folsom by a touchdown.
Right. And that was Pittsburgh kind of blew that game.
Yeah.
So, I think this is a good Pittsburgh team, and I think they're going to get the best of Clayton on Friday night.
Joseph.
I picked Clayton Valley to win the division, so I am contractually obligated to stick with my pick of Clayton Valley.
Were there any injuries? Remember, we had that. If there are any,
I don't think there have really been any injuries, so I'll pick Clayton Valley. But kind of like my Miramonte pick. Not feeling great about it because Pittsburgh looks pretty good right now, and Liberty is a good team, but it was a very close game last week between Clayton Valley Charter and Liberty, which I did not.
I was told that Pittsburgh wasn't very physical on the lines. I did not see that last week. I saw a team that could hit, a team that was plugging holes, a team that De La Salle had a hard time running against. Pittsburgh's pretty good.
Yeah.
I think the Pirates win. I think they send Galley out with another NCS championship back to back. And then we'll see what happens. We'll see on Sunday when the CIF announces the regional matchups who the Pirates would be matched up against. But I anticipate a Pittsburgh victory on Friday night. And so does Cal Preps' computer. 34-22 for the Pirates. That's it for our local picks, but we're gonna do a bonus game. We're gonna pick the Southern Section Division I championship game, which we played at the Rose Bowl on Friday night, 7:30. The winner of this game, if Serra were to win, would play Serra. I don't think there's any doubt about that now, right? The only team that could have played in the game might have been St. Mary's of Stockton, and they went out a couple of weeks ago in the playoffs. If Mitty pulled off the stunner of all stunners, then it'd be interesting to see who the CIF would put in that game against Mater Dei or Bosco. My guess it would be Folsom if Folsom were to win on Friday night against Oak Ridge. Mm-hmm. If not, who knows? Maybe De La Salle. I don't know. That's a lot would have to happen for that to happen. Anyhow, these teams met earlier in the season. Mater Dei won. Obviously, we know the storylines. Mater Dei's coach, Bruce Rawlinson, announced his retirement. He just got blasted in the LA Times by columnist Bill Plaschke, who they had a media day yesterday at the Rose Bowl. And Rawlinson did not take any accountability, according to the headline that I read and the story that I read, for what's gone on down there at Mater Dei. When, a month ago he had said that it looked like he was going to be coming back for the 2023 season, and then a couple weeks later he announces right before the playoffs start that this is it. This is it. So now he's part of the storyline. Mike Lefkow, you have any thoughts on this game, on Mater Dei, on the possibility of Serra having to play one of these teams, or not the possibility? Yeah, I mean, it's likely.
Right.
What do you think?
The thought I have is that I'm wondering if the administration at Mater Dei or the diocese of Orange County finally said, we've had enough of this stuff that's going on at Mater Dei. And Bruce Rawlinson, you're 73 years old. It's time to step down. And they kind of forced the issue, maybe. I'm not sure that a month later Rawlinson just changed his mind out of the blue, unless, something happened personally that made him realize he's got to go. But I wouldn't be surprised if maybe some administrators finally stepped in and said, this program, it's successful on the football field, but it's an embarrassment everywhere else. I mean, I'm not going to kid around. I much prefer to see St. John Bosco win. I don't exactly like everything that Bosco does, but they just seem to be more ethical than Mater Dei. Mater Dei should be IMG and just play a national schedule, not be part of the high schools. Or, like Prolific Prep up in Napa, like some of these basketball programs do. So I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe administrators finally stepped in and said, we've had enough of this.
Joseph, you've followed Mater Dei a little bit. I don't know if you follow them in Tennessee, but you've definitely kind of monitored what's been going on this season. What do you think of Mater Dei? What do you think of St. John Bosco's chances on Friday night?
So I think, just strictly speaking about on the football field, Bosco, they lost the regular season game 17-7, so it was certainly a very close contest. But just Mater Dei as a program, I obviously haven't really followed the off the field stuff, but on the field, it looks like, as Lefkow has told me several times, they're basically a college team. Serra is a very good high school football team, right? De La Salle is a very good high school football team. Pittsburgh is very good. But I look at Mater Dei's roster and Bosco's rosters, and it's just D1 prospect. On the 2D, like ones and twos are going to go play college football. And I mean, like you said, IMG is probably the only other team in America who can say that. It's like they're playing a completely different sport than
that team in Baltimore that De La Salle lost
St. Francis
years ago. Yeah, it's another one.
St. Francis with an E.
Mm-hmm.
CES. Let's get to these picks. Mike Lefkow, are we going to see, if the Serra Padres win on Friday night, are we going to see Patrick Walsh match X's and O's with Bruce Rawlinson at Mater Dei, or St. John Bosco?
No, I think Mater Dei is going to win. They've won 8 of the last 11 against St. John Bosco. They're going to win again.
I got Mater Dei winning as well. Joseph, who you got?
You know what? I'm 10 down in the standings. I might as well just go with Bosco and try to make up a spot.
Sure.
I mean, it's hard to beat a team 2 times in the same year, right?
Right.
So, and Bosco's got the talent to do it. Am I talking myself into Bosco on the show right now? Yes. So I'm going to go with.
I don't even know if you need to talk. I think they're pretty evenly matched. So I think this is going to be kind of a. It's not going to be as high scoring as UCLA USC, but it's going to be one of those tight, very competitive, very electric games that none of us will get to see because we're all going to be covering games on Friday night here in Northern California, in the Bay Area. Cal Press, for the record, took Mater Dei. The computer says Mater Dei 21 and Bosco 20. So there you have it.
This team was 17-7 modern day this year.
Yep. I don't have anything else to add. Check out our covers, mercurynews.com, eastbaytimes.com. I'll let you guys, if you have anything else to add, say it now, or we're wrapping it up.
We're still doing Athlete of the Week nominations. So coaches, administrators, if you want your athlete to possibly be included in our poll, just email highschools@bayareanewsgroup.com and we'll nominate your athlete.
Administrators, we're going into winter sports now. So this weekend, a good time to, get an early athlete of the week, maybe for basketball, soccer. Yeah. I don't know if they're wrestling yet, but maybe even wrestling. So anyhow, check us out, mercurynews.com, eastbaytimes.com. Mike Lefkow, anything else? You good?
No, you're going to go up to O'Dowd and see the new gym, huh?
I think I'm going to go see O'Dowd's new gym. We're taping this on a Tuesday morning. And yeah, I think I'm going to go over to O'Dowd this evening and check out their new gym as they play their foundation game against De La Salle. Not bad.
Not bad.
So
anyhow, some good things in that thing.
We're going to have our preview this week on mercurynews.com, eastbaytimes.com. So check that out. Boys and girls basketball preview and season opening rankings. So that's it. We'll be back next week to discuss section championship weekend and the upcoming regionals. Take care, everybody.